That's what it's all about.
Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday. This is your favorite crew on the YouTube space, and I'm so happy to present everyone. And what we have tonight, we have a really great show, lots of great content. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And be sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. My name is Sishi, and I'm the host here at the Crimson Dynasty. We're one of the YouTube shows on the Bama Standard Network. So I know that y'all are familiar with that. If you're not, then welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Be sure to hit up the live chat as well, because sometimes we'll display your comments on screen. So go ahead and do that as well. Now, before we get started, I definitely have to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Workspace Solutions. So we have their banner listed below. If your business, or even if you personally need a marketing team or full-fledged digital presence at a good price, be sure to reach out to them directly. You can contact them via their website if you have any questions regarding their packages. Now, like I said, we have great content to drop tonight. Before I introduce our guests, which a lot of you are familiar with, I want to first introduce our co-host. So I'll start with Dan James IV, the one who's always smiling. Shout out to Dan James IV. He's a very familiar face. He's on one of our other shows that comes on every Tuesday night, The Final Whistle. So that show is awesome. Dan James IV, he's our lead recruiting analyst here on our network. So he always knows, I'm looking at the comments, that's why I'm laughing, but he always knows a lot of information about the recruits and just anyone in particular that, maybe is trending on our radar. So if y'all have questions about specific recruits, go ahead and drop it in the live chat. I also want to introduce our other co-host, Hannah Stevens. So she's awesome. She's a former rower at Alabama, and we had started introducing a new topic here on our shows, basically Bama and other sports. And so we like to kind of pivot from football from time to time and just kind of dedicate some time and resources towards the other sports as well. So I mentioned that because Hannah, she's really big into softball. And so sometimes you'll hear us talk about that here. So shout out to Hannah. She has a radio show on ESPN Radio in Huntsville, Alabama. And she's been on a few college football shows. I'm sure y'all are familiar with her as well. So without further ado, I have to introduce our guest of honor, my brother from another mother, the one that likes to act a fool on this YouTube space. And I hope you just go off tonight. Stephen M. Smith from Touchdown, Alabama, the top recruiting analyst across all sports. I don't care if you're an LSU fan, a Raggedy Auburn fan, whatever you claim, y'all ain't got nothing on Stephen M. Smith. Right. And I didn't say Stephen A. Smith. I said Stephen M. Smith. And so
we're gonna take that guest handle off of it.
I know. I mean, honestly, you might as well just join the show. I'm just saying, but I know that you have your thing going on with Touchdown Alabama. Now, Stephen, we're happy to have you here. It's great to have you here again. And we hope that we have you here more often, but we can talk about that offline. Now, I want to get your perspective because I know that you've been physically present at the scrimmage game, and just, I want to get your take on what you're seeing so far. There were some things that I had heard as far as the offense. I heard about Jalen Milroe. He threw like a 50-yard touchdown to Ryan Williams. I hear Ty Simpson is going off with Kendrick Law. Dylan Lonergan is going off with Emmanuel Henderson Jr. So it's certain names that have been coming up. And I'm like, okay, we have a lot to be excited about, even when it comes to not just the receivers, but also the running backs as well. I'm hearing Jam and Justice is kind of a battle, but I want to get your take on what you're seeing so far. Who's standing out to you the most? And is there anyone that we're not talking about, i.e. Cole Adams, who should be on our radar?
It's been a lot of great stuff in camp this entire time that I've been there. In terms of guys stepping up, Caleb Odom's a freak. We all kind of knew that. He's 230 pounds. This is the first big body receiver since Julio Jones that can actually have big success here. I mean, he, despite his size, it doesn't take away from his speed, his routes, his hands. The guy's got tremendous body control. He had like a sick one-handed catch from Milroe in the first scrimmage that had the coaches going, did I really just see that? Like that, did that really just happen? So him, another guy, Emmanuel Henderson. E-Man has come alive. And E-Man went to Geneva County High School a few years back when he was recruited. He played football, basketball, and track. Came in as a running back, but because of Jam Miller's ability, he had to transition to wide receiver. but E-Man's really good. I mean, he has gotten the entire offense. Coach Shepard is so happy about what this dude has become. So Emmanuel Henderson, Cole Adams, Caleb Odom are just some guys that, they may not be in the top 3 to 4, but they're going to get a lot of burn in this rotation that's very deep offensively. And at running back, we talk about Justice and Jam, but keep your eyes on Richard Young. That boy ain't playing. 217 pounds now. Physical, big in run protection. It took a lot for him to sit behind and watch last year behind Justice and Jam, but he has come with a lot of hunger from spring to fall camp, and Richard Young will have something to say.
I believe so too. And one of the wide receivers I was thinking about as you were talking is Kobe Prentice. Kobe Prentice, and every time I think about him, I think about like a Devontae Smith or like a John Mechie, more so in the fact that they were always reliable. Like you just knew that they were going to get the job done. So I'm excited about them. I'm going to toss it off to. I'll start with you, Hannah. Any specific players or any specific questions that you have for Stephen regarding scrimmage?
Stephen, there's no doubt that Alabama's done a fantastic job getting some transfers, whether it's offense or defensive side of the ball. We know the offensive line's kind of been a question, but I think one of the positions that I've been most interested in is going to be our cornerback, right? It's going to be the defensive side of the ball. Damani Jackson seems to have locked in one of the positions, but, you look at even Mbakwe, I mean, what are your thoughts on defense? I mean, and I guess a twofold question, your thoughts on who's going to get the other position, but also out of all the transfers that Alabama has had come in this season, which one has impressed you the most so far?
Well, I'll start the cornerback one first, Hannah. Opposite Damani Jackson, it's a 3-man fight. And 3 men, 2 are freshmen. Think about that. Xavier Brown and Mbakwe. And I'll talk Mbakwe right now. Mbakwe's made such a jump. From spring to right now. Bach is 192 pounds. Think about the work that David Ballou has put in. Bach came in at 170. He's now 192. Physical, thickened up. That boy can play.
Yeah.
We saw he played so many spots in high school at Clay Chalkfield, but he has taken the cornerback spot so strongly in detail. Kane Womack can't shut up talking about him. Like, Bach has made a push. Xavier Brown is now 196. And the job he's done in camp, he's more so been on the opposite side of Damani Jackson. And then there's the transfer, Deshaun Jones, who's had a great camp as well. Jaleel Hurley's in there, but the 3 main guys are Jones and Mbakwe and Xavier Brown. And right now, I would not be shocked if one of these 2 freshmen, Bach or Brown, comes out with it, because these 2 ain't babies out there. They out there playing.
Sure.
They not on that Similac.
And then the second part of the question, Stephen, transfers. I mean, on both sides of the ball, it could even be all 3 sides if you include special teams. Which transfer, we got a stellar kicker in the transfer portal as well. So which transfer thus far has impressed you the most with what you've been able to see?
I'm going to say this, LT Overton on the defensive line.
Yeah.
That guy is going to be one of the bandit defensive ends out there. The dude is at A&M. He was not developed there at all.
Sure.
He comes to Alabama. He goes from 265 to 285 pounds. Kane Womack called him a 285-pound butt kicker. Like, LT Overton is really out there doing it. Like, we had an interview with him. The guy doesn't blink for like 3 minutes. He doesn't blink during the whole interview. And he's serious about, I just want to prove something. Like, having that guy out there is going to be something nice at that field defensive end position, because he got a lot he want to show. He's been very impressive.
I agree. And honestly, I think this is going to be one of the scenarios or one of the years where people are going to kind of wish that the transfer portal didn't happen. When you think about some of the transfers that we've gotten, whether it's him or whether it's Damani or Keon Sabb, they're going to be like, yeah, we should have listened to Coach Saban. Dan, I'm going to toss it off to you. Anything that you have for Stephen?
Oh, yeah. I was one thing I found interesting is the body type of receivers that we're getting now. We're getting like physical specimens, guys that you can move all over in the formation. And you got, even Bubba Hampton, the name, we got you got the Kendrick Law, the Emmanuel Hendersons, guys that can move around, Rico Scott, Amari Jefferson. We got so many guys with different body types. Talk a little bit more about the younger freshmen other than Ryan Williams and Caleb Odom.
Well, right now, I mean, Bubba Hampton's got routes. He can run the whole tree. Oh. And that's a guy that in the future is going to be nice to watch. Amari Jefferson's smooth. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just smooth from dispersing his weight around, getting in and out of breaks, cutting, moving quick. He's just smooth. Oh. And then Rico Scott. Rico is smooth, but Rico is fast. Rico's got a little Robert Foster.
Wow.
Robert Foster. And that was the last guy you got from Pennsylvania in that 2013 class. So to go back up there, get another guy from the Pennsylvania area to get Rico Scott, he's been fun to watch. So these younger wide receivers, they're doing something in camp. And Jamarcus Shepard, I got to take my cap off to him. I know Chris Kaplovich coined the phrase Juice Squad, but Coach Juice is Jamarcus Shepard. Yeah. And he out there giving it to them dudes every single day. He is entertaining out there.
Yeah. It sounds like we may need to get like a Sun and Delight type of sponsorship or something. I mean, just for the juice. That's all I'm saying, for the juice. Now, really quickly, I have a question regarding Coach DeBoer. He made a comment regarding penalties, and that's something that we have struggled with over the last few years, actually, and it's cost us a couple games. But he mentioned that one thing that he noticed, and I don't remember if this was Scrimmage or Fan Day this past weekend, was that we are doing so much better when it comes to scrimmages and when it comes to just, I think we had like maybe I don't know, like one pass interference, just very small penalties that we're seeing. And so I thought that was really interesting. He mentioned how we really didn't have any holding calls, things like that. What are you seeing while you're there? Like, do you feel like it's more just we're better disciplined at this point? Or do you feel like it has to do more so with different style of coaching?
I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, DeBoer could only recall 3 penalties from the scrimmage. He could only recall 3. So that just shows you that even in the heat, these guys are playing a disciplined style of ball. Yeah. And then I also look at it as it's not as complicated, right? Mm-hmm. Especially defensively. Kane Womack has taken this defense and has pared it down to where these guys are running, playing fast, playing free, still in structure, and just killing people out there. I mean, Deontay Lawson said this defense was made for inside linebackers. I'm happy. I'm having fun again. That's Deontay Lawson. So if Deontay Lawson's telling you this defense is fun, I'm flying around, this defense was made for me, and you're seeing several other people talk about how Coach Womack has pared this down. We're not thinking. We're just going out there flying around and playing football and doing that at a high level. This is what you want, because I go back to a conversation once again I had with Reuben Foster a while back, and Rube was like, look, man, Pruitt didn't have no crazy defense. We had 4 plays. Mm-hmm. We ran like a variation off of each of these 4 plays, and we ran them 4 plays to perfection, and that's why we were that good. Yeah. Kane Womack, I see the same thing. Like, that playbook is not thicker than a teacher's manual here. It's a small playbook, and they're all running fast on that field.
Yeah, and my uncle, exactly. My uncle that played at Alabama, now he played years ago, but he kept saying that when we had, I think Pete Golden, he kept saying that was his biggest issue, is that our defense was pretty much confused, and you could actually see it because they had so many things that they had to remember. So that's good to hear. Hannah, I'm going to toss it back to you.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to reiterate what we were saying first is Alabama has got to get back to the basics. And I think when we are executing well, even if it's a less amount of plays, even offense, I think that's when we're most successful. But Stephen, let's go back to the offense for a minute. Because we had a guy who left and came back. Caden Proctor did a great job. I'm glad he came back. A twofold question, then I'm going to shut up. But my first part of the question is Caden Proctor. When you have a guy who leaves and comes back, you're not really sure how the team's going to accept him back, right? You don't really know that dynamic. Talk about how not only he's gotten his starting job back, but how well he's been received from the team. And also let's talk about the other side of the ball. When you have really kind of turn of events. I mean, that's really the only spot on the offensive line that I see a kind of a question there between Formby and Pritchett. So who do you see winning that starting job? But also talk about Proctor, how well he's done coming back and how well he's been received since his return from Iowa.
Well, Proctor knew coming back that he had to earn everything back. He knew that. And this is a young man that when Nick Saban retired, it shook him. Like it would shake a lot of players when Nick Saban retired.
It shook the fans.
Fans, absolutely. So Nick Saban retires. Caden Proctor's like, well, man, this is the guy I always wanted to play for. And though we could say he should have waited from the jump, but he did what he had to do. So he goes to Iowa, goes back home. He understands, okay, home is not what I thought it was cracked up to be. And thankfully, he kept those relationships and conversations with Tyler Booker, or with Jaeden Roberts, with a lot of those guys that were like, man, you shouldn't have left, man. Look at what we got, man. We got something special back here at the crib, man. Come on back home here.
Back at the crib.
And Caden's like, you know what? Let me come back to Tuscaloosa. He comes back, and he knew this is not going to be easy.
Sure.
Those guys were on him. But the good thing is Caden embraced that. He came home. He dropped weight. He came home. He got really serious about the conditioning program, the way Kalen DeBoer wants to do things, the way that Chris Kaplovich, the offensive line coach, wants to do things. And he has really taken that left tackle spot back. I mean, Caden has really appreciated being back and working at that spot again. Now, at that right tackle position, Formby's got it. It's looking for him. I mean, the kid came in the same class as Proctor from Northridge High School. He's got right tackle. I think Elijah Pritchett is going to be a backup for both of those two guys.
Sure.
And then you still have no other offensive lineman in there. Rock Montgomery is playing guard and center. Gino Vandermark, the transfer from Michigan State, is playing guard in there. You've got Olase Nanine getting reps in there.
Ionata.
Joseph Ionata is getting reps at tackle and center, which that's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah.
But you got several offensive linemen in there. And Coach Kaplovich mentioned, hey, at that right tackle spot, he'll rep both Pritchett and Formby until, they get the first game of the season. But right now, I think Formby's got that spot.
Gotcha. And I think this is shout out to O'Neill H. Steven. Will we see Miller and Haynes in the backfield together?
There's a package. So there's some possible packages with that. It could be both of those two, Flank and Milroe in the backfield, or it could be one where they line up Jam Miller receiver, have him come in motion, and then Flank Milroe in the backfield. So Nick Sheridan, he ain't gonna give you too much, which I know how Coach Sheridan is. He ain't gonna talk about it that much. But there are some packages being put in play. Gotcha.
And I think Dan, you wanted to piggyback off of that.
Yes, about the Caden Proctor situation. Like you said, when Nick Saban retired, it shook him, and he was far away from home. Then he got home, but he got Iowa. He realized, hey, this is not Bama, and he had friends. Really close friends. He built relationships with other offensive linemen, Wilkin Foreman, Elias Allenden, so he started to miss Alabama. He found out, Alabama.
He messed around and found out.
And so, we were kind of hard on him when he left, but you got to understand, 18-year-old making a decision, and you're that far away from home, you didn't know what to expect. Then, that, like they say, absent make the heart grow fonder. So when he got away from Alabama, he realized, hey,
he went up with that cone.
Bad decision.
They had that cream cone, that corn on the cob, that
oh my gosh,
all the corn.
Caden Proctor recognized, man, I don't have the facilities that Bama has. Iowa don't have the facilities Bama has. Nope. Iowa don't have the coaching Bama has.
They got
Iowa don't have the nutrition Bama has. Iowa, I'm out here in a big cornfield. I don't have anything that Tuscaloosa has right now. So for Caden to come back was a huge, huge deal for him. And like I mentioned, he took it well. He took it well in understanding I got to earn everything back, in which he has. and he has. I mean, he's moving extremely well at that left tackle spot, especially after dropping a good bit of that weight there.
Agreed. Now I wanna ask you. I know we shift talking about the offense, the defense. I want to touch on the quarterbacks. I want to ask more so regarding Austin Mack, Ty Simpson, Dylan Lonergan. I want to know from your perspective, who do you feel like has made the most progress, at least over the last few weeks, and particularly what you've seen during the scrimmage game?
I think it's Ty Simpson. I mean, Ty's the number 2 guy. I mean, Ty is number 2, and he chose to stay with Alabama because he wanted to help Kalen DeBoer win a national championship or compete for one when Ty could have went anywhere and possibly been a starter in college football. He chose to stick around. He had a really good first scrimmage. I mean, Ty was hooking up with receivers, on the field as well, including Emmanuel Henderson. So I think Ty is 2. But number 3 guy, Dylan Lonergan and Austin Mack, that's been a great competition for number 3. Because what I hear from practices and what I see, Dylan can throw a frozen rope on a line. That guy's got a different arm. But Austin Mack can make some Patrick Mahomes type stuff happen.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what in the world? Like, the quarterbacks were doing a drill in the scrimmage or in the open practice, and the drill was who can toss the ball into a trash can in the corner of the end zone. And I'm watching Austin Mack do this like it ain't nothing, like flicking the ball into a trash can. I'm like, dude got some serious arm ability. So
wow.
Between both of these two, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out as the number 3 guy, because sometimes in practice you see Dylan Lonergan as the number 3 guy. Sometimes you see Austin Mack number 3. So that spot, that position for that 3rd spot is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited. There's a reason why, the Coach DeBoers of the world, different people were, talking about him. I mean, we didn't go after him for nothing, coming out from California. We know those California guys to be different in a good way. So shout out to them. I'm excited for them, especially Dylan Lonergan. I mean, first time I saw him at a spring game, maybe a year or 2 ago, I'm like, yeah, this guy's going to be it. And then I want to toss it back to you. Actually, it looks like Justin may want to pop on with a question.
Stephen M. Smith, my guy, we appreciate you being the hardest working man in show business. I don't think you've actually slept in 3 weeks. So I think you got a lot of the Holy Spirit.
I cop the nap. I cop the nap every now and again, but this deacon's chair is really helping.
Hey, I feel like the Spirit's coming alive.
Gotta testify.
Turn to 1 Timothy. Never mind.
I will. Okay. Well, we can talk about it now.
Hey, look now. Hold on, we ain't doing it. We ain't
take us to church tonight, Stephen, because we need it. We need it.
No, I can't sing. We'll get
to the key.
God, don't do it. We'll get copyrighted.
And we need to make sure to clip that part, since you like to clip stuff, Justin.
Absolutely. Stephen, last week you let us know about surprise guys that caught your eye and made you go, wow, where did this come from? Jeremiah Beeman was a guy last week. You mentioned Justin Orokunwo as another guy. Okay, this week, who's been those guys, or maybe just one guy, this really made you stop what you were doing, wipe your glasses off from the excitement, and go, man, this is that dude?
I'm going to say this. So this week, that guy was literally Quay Russaw. Quay, in a pass rush drill, literally almost knocked out a student assistant. Knocked him out, in the drill. Worked the bags. Those poor bags. I mean, worked to the bags. And then the student assistant has the football in his hand, so you're trying to force a turnover at the end.
Yeah.
Quay, forearm, almost knocked the poor dude out. And I'm just like, yeah, Quay ain't playing, man. Montgomery kids don't play.
Quay don't play.
Quay out there working, man.
Quay don't play.
Well, and shout out to Montgomery, because I think that's where Quay is from, right? Quay and James Smith. Yeah. Shout out to them. Dan, I see Dan over there getting that water now. We talking about praying and testifying. I don't know if he need that holy water. You might have to lay hands.
That's what I'm saying, man. God, don't.
What you got, Dan?
Man, yeah. We talked about it earlier in the green room. About the speed that we have on this team. It said Saban's team, last team, had 21 guys reach 20 mile per hour. and this team here has nearly double that amount. So I want you to expound on that a little bit.
I mean, that goes to David Ballou, the strength and the speed staff, and what they've done to enhance that. I mean, you've got Kendrick Law that's doing it. You got Ryan Williams that's doing it. You got several guys that have that kind of speed, and Ballou has stayed on these guys about having their speed in order, having their strength in order, being able to do so many things well, no matter what side of the ball that you're playing on. And that's huge because Kalen DeBoer and Kane Womack, they want to do a lot on both sides. Kalen DeBoer's talked about, we want to do a lot offensively. We want to frustrate a defense to death. Good. And Kane Womack's talked about, hey, we want to be great on third down. We want to be great situationally. We want to get sacks. We want turnovers. We want the money in the crumbs, in the words of Lil Wayne. So that's what Kane Womack's talked about. So this team, in developing that speed, that power, everything, you got to give David Ballou and his staff a ton of credit. They've been working overtime.
Awesome. And I think, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, and that's kind of crazy because, you know, when we lost Dr. Ray, he was the speed guy. You know, Dr. Ray and Dave Ballou, they came together. Dr. Ray was the speed guy. Dave Ballou was the strength guy. And, you know, I thought, you know, it's funny that we nearly doubled the amount of, you know, speed in Tuscaloosa with Dr. Ray gone.
I mean, to be honest, as qualified as Dr. Ray was, Ballou was the mad scientist of the two.
Oh,
Ballou's the mad scientist of both of them. And so when Bama was able to retain him, that was big. To retain him, we brought in a new nutritionist on staff, and she's done an unbelievable job. I miss Miss Amy Bragg still, but the new nutritionist has done a phenomenal job. And just the guys that Ballou has surrounded himself with, and then the work ethic of the players. They want to be faster. They want to be stronger. They want to go out there and dominate. And what's so crazy is it's not the players that are talking right now. It's the coaches. The players aren't saying nothing. The coaches are out here going, man, this guy is this, and this guy is that. This guy is this over here. These players ain't saying a word. They out here like, we about this work. We get into this work. We finna let the coaches do all this talking.
Yeah. And that's, but you know what? That's good to hear, because I remember we talked about this sometime last year, and shout out to Don Parker. Shout out to the Gump 334. Shout out to the Gump.
Nation, baby.
Huh?
I said Gump Nation, baby.
Hey, I spent a lot of time down there, you know. Right. So good old, it's good and ratchet, you know. We talk about that cornbread, we talk about them turkey necks and everything in between, man, that red velvet cake. Man, look,
man, they throwing the Tabasco on there, you know.
Not the Tabasco.
Tabasco on there.
Look, they better be careful now, because one thing about it. All right, well, no, and how are you on time, Stephen? Because you know we'll keep you here now.
I mean, I'm good for a few more minutes. I mean, I'm good.
Okay, good. Okay, so then I want to kind of take it back. I want to kind of take it back a little bit. And Hannah, did you have something?
Yes, I wanted a couple of minutes ago. My head just kind of wanted to make sure I didn't forget this. Malachi Moore mentioned how, you know, you look at how DeBoer has kind of related to these players in a different way than Saban. And he's a players coach, right? He wants these players to take the bulls by the horn. He wants these players to kind of make this team themselves. When you look at this type of team and you look at how they've kind of become their own, what's the word? Like, Stephen, what I'm trying to say is when you look at the Alabama teams in the past that have won national championships, right? You look at how last season ended with losing in the Rose Bowl to Michigan, a game that honestly we should have won. And you look at how they have the leadership now. Do you see this team as, not saying we're going to win national championship, I'm not even caring about that, but do you
we are.
Well, I know that, but it's more than that. Do you see this team being the type of team that we saw 2011, even maybe 2009,
Okay.
that they came back from defeat and they had a chip on their shoulder and they played, and it was less about the coach and more about the players.
You're talking about Nick Saban used to use the term identity.
Yes.
This team has a firm identity, and there are alphas on both sides of the ball. Malachi Moore is one of the quarterbacks of this defense along with Deontay Lawson. But in talking with Jaheim Otis,
I think we might have lost him. I think Steven got excited. Well, I'm like, wait, what again? What is that? Like, I wanted to hear that. So maybe
I know. I was like all into it.
I know. He'll join. I think he just got excited, y'all. Yes, he'll be back. But and speaking of, I think Kendrick Law and Jaeden Roberts, they both made the Feldman freak list. And so as we were talking about just the speed of the guys and how fast some of them are, it was reported that Kendrick Law, of course, our wide receiver, he's running over 20 miles per hour, and so that's awesome. So he made the cut. So it's Bruce Feldman. He's essentially an insider for The Athletic, and he's also a sideline reporter for Fox College Football. And so his list, I mean, people, they kind of have like different opinions of it or whatever, but Jaeden Roberts was one of the ones who made his list, right? I mean, to some degree, it means something. And I think it's good that Jaeden is getting acknowledged for what he's been doing, because this should be the first full year that he starts where we can really see what he can do. And I mean, this guy was 6'5", over 320 pounds. Like that video of him in high school pushing that sled, I think it was like 1,400 pounds or so. That no one forgets that. Like, how are you in high school doing all that? So I just shout out to Jaeden Roberts, shout out to Kendrick Law making the list. I don't know how important it is to make that list, but I do think that anytime you get acknowledged.
They all rat poison. All the lists are rat poison.
Well, but this one I think this one is a little more special. Just I would say specifically for Jaeden Roberts, though.
Sure. I mean, like, I'm in Nick Saban be like, Jaeden, you better not be looking at that list. I don't care if you're number 1, you're number 100 on my list. You better keep working. Like.
Well, I think it's good for them to feel special sometimes. Not to get the big head, but Steven, look, I don't know if you got hungry when we were talking about that food, and that's why you dropped it.
It was crazy.
I didn't even drop off. I wonder where y'all went to.
You started talking about turkey neck.
I know.
Chris Williams tried to hack the show.
Hey, I thought his Uber Eats order showed up and he just hung up. Like, dang, it's like that, Steven.
Chicken.
Man, look now. I have not ordered anything from Uber Eats.
Hey, we started talking about corn in Iowa, and he was like, "Listen, I need me some corn."
I know.
The last thing he said with Tabasco sauce, he went to go grab
corn.
Look, okay, so you mentioned Deontay Lawson, I think Jahad Campbell. What were you going to say about them?
Well, about Lawson and Campbell, they both can call the defense, both of them. And that's crazy. Like, Lawson can call signals, Campbell can call signals. So if any one of those two has to come out for a play, you slide the other one into the inside to the Mike linebacker position, let them call. And the rise of Justin Jefferson has made this possible. He has been tearing it up in fall camp. He's been tearing it up. Jeremiah Alexander's been tearing it up. And then Justin Okunrokwo's a thumper. That guy's thumping out there. So you got this inside linebacker room led by Lawson and Campbell. These two calling defense. They calling defense, but they are flying. Like, these two are flying around.
They fly. And then I think another thing that you were talking about before you went and got your Uber Eats order, I think Hannah was asking you if you believe, or maybe Grubhub or somebody delivers something. Look, Steven, yeah, because he got off with the quickness. That's how fast I move with my order.
Didn't even say bye. He was just like,
he like, look, I'm going. I ain't got time. I think Hannah was.
Hey, he hung up quicker than a recruit getting a call from Hugh Freeze. Bye.
I know. Look.
Oh,
hey, he left quicker than the way Auburn get them L's. How quickly Auburn get them L's, but they're not ready for that conversation.
Hey, listen, he hung up, or he got off the call quicker than an Auburn fan trying to throw toilet paper on a tree right before they realized they lost. They're out of that.
Because Auburn
corner, they gone.
Oh man!
I mean,
I guess the last one could be like, he left quicker than Auburn's chance at a national title.
Quickening that dust that come out the back of they buses that they ride in on, thinking they about to win some with their sorry self. They so raggedy. They literally disgust me.
I thought you said those butts instead of buses.
Well, that too. That too.
Hey, listen, they haven't won a national. Never mind. I ain't gonna say that. Never mind.
But get back to Hannah's point though. The team has an identity. I mean, these guys know. These guys know. Hey, last year was not the way we wanted that year to end. You got a lot of alphas on this team. Tyler Booker gonna talk. Jalen Milroe gonna talk. Malachi Moore gonna talk. Deontay Lawson is finally starting to talk. Like, these dudes gonna say something.
They say
like Kalen DeBoer is like, look, y'all, I'm gonna give you the framework, but this is y'all's team. Kalen DeBoer has mentioned, I give the players the framework, but the team is about these players. And you even got freshmen out there that's barking. Like, bark on the field gonna bark at you. Red gonna bark at you.
They call him in Barkley?
I mean, Barkley gonna bark. Like, these kids, these young guns, they're not afraid to let you know how they feel out there. And they're going to let you know exactly how they feel out there. So
that's what we need, Steven. I mean,
we talk about Link.
Well, we do. But last year, that team was so silent, honestly, in full transparency. Yeah. We missed that leadership last year. And they were more silent than the Alabama school of the deaf and blind. I mean, you wouldn't know there was anyone out there. They were just, there was no talking. There was no communication. I mean, there was just like, I don't know if it was discord or just and I'll say this too. And there have been players that have left, and I would say GR, good riddance to it, because I think what's had to happen, it's like any vegetation, right? And we'll just talk about cornfields because of Caden Proctor, but you have to remove the weeds in order to grow, right? That's even biblical, you know? Yeah. And I think that's what had to happen in this program. You had a couple of players who were about themselves. They were selfish and they had to leave. And I feel like this team is now in a place where they can grow, and that takes time. But last year we missed that vocal leadership. So I love hearing players bark. I don't care if they bark or meow. They're just going to have to make some type of noise.
Yeah, they got to. And I go back to the best teams. And I remember I was talking to Mike McCoy about this, played at Bama. Mike McCoy has the saying, for every Bama team, you need 3 church boys and 5 gangsters. That's what you need. You need 3 church boys and you need 5 gangsters. That was Mike McCoy. He did right. And I go back to the teams that won championships. Them teams with Tony Brown and Reuben Foster, there was some gangsters. They got into full fights on the sideline, but you needed that. You needed them full-fledged fights to let you know, hey, if I can't fight my own teammate, something wrong. You needed that. And I feel like this group right here, you got some guys that are going to fight their own teammates again. Good. You got some guys that are going to throw some hands.
Listen, Barrett Jones and AJ McCarron's little tiff was the highlight of that game.
Absolutely. And look, and the highlight of the USC game from 2016 was Deontay Thompson and Ronnie Harrison getting into it. And Reuben having to break it up.
Yep.
Well, I think Justin had another question, and then we're going to change topics.
Man, I had to follow up some of those lovely rants. I love them. We all entertained by them. But, Steven, what the audience doesn't really know, because we're just on the sideline playing armchair quarterback at this point in fall camp and moving into scrimmage number 2, the first team and second team are pretty much set. And we got the look team, the team that's going to work with those guys to kind of get them ready for week 1. So my question is to you, with scrimmage number 2 coming up, you're around the coaches, you're around the players. What is being said about the expectations for scrimmage number 2?
A lot of just pure execution on both sides. That's the conversation. Pure execution on both sides. And now you're about to really see, okay, who separates themselves, right, to be in that first team? Who separates themselves to be in that second team? That second scrimmage, you begin to find out, okay, who are my 6th, 7th, 8th offensive linemen in this rotation? That second scrimmage, you start to figure out, okay, who are my wide receivers 4, 5, 6? Get them ready to get into the rotation for the games. The second scrimmage, you figure out, okay, who are my corners 3, 4, and 5? Get those next corners repped up. So that's what this does, is that you start to see who are the guys that are separating And then who are the guys that we got to get them reps because when there's no time to go in, we want you prepared.
Yep.
We don't want you being like John Fulton back in 2010, looking all lost as two left shoes out there.
Or like a Jaeden Hall.
We want you out there. We want you focused. We want you prepared. So when you take that field, you know what you're doing out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And really quickly, I agree with you. And thank you for that, Stephen. We need all that because we need to get amped up because the season is just around the corner. I did want to shout out Don Parker for another super chat, and he wants to support your Uber Eats. So Stephen got the Uber Eats order from Baumhauer's. I mean, you literally
where's
left
my money for Starbucks? Because this coffee ain't hitting right.
Well, and really quickly, I have to give a shout out to our other sponsor, Title Towel. Look, we always tell you that your game day is not the same without your Title Towel. Visit whitwellsports.com. We have their website in the banner below. Be sure to use promo code STANDARD for an exclusive discount. And we also have our t-shirts that are still for sale. Like we mentioned last week, it's a limited edition. So go ahead and get yours. We have dropped the link in the chat. So go ahead and check that out. And it's free shipping on everything. So go ahead and get it while supplies last. And then Stephen, can you stay on another minute or two?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to get your take on one topic in particular. So the little raggedy AP rankings came out. And I just want to know, and for those who are not aware, so the little AP poll, little raggedy rankings, and that's what that R stands for, rankings raggedy. That's exactly what that stands for. So they have Georgia at number 1, Ohio State number 2, Oregon number 3, Texas number 4, and Alabama number 5. Like, we are never number 5. Like, what do you mean? I want to get y'all's takes on what y'all think about that, because honestly, we seem to do better anyway when we're not number 1. You know, but let me toss it to Stephen really quickly. Then I'm going to toss it to Hannah and then Dan. Stephen, what are your take on that?
It's funny how history repeats itself, and I'm a history guy. The last time you're ranked 5 was 2009.
Well,
what's the power? Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow, all of that. And Nick Saban just basically in that year, you beat Florida. Tim Tebow cries. You get the first Heisman winner in program history, Mark Ingram, and you win a national championship. So here we are again in the same situation. Once again, preseason rankings is nothing but national media to talk about. You shouldn't be even doing these rankings until they played some games, but that's besides the point. Now, it's not, and here's what people don't realize. People are saying, Saban ain't there. That guy's not Saban. I don't think they're good enough to win. I don't think people understand the wealth of goods that's in this cupboard that Nick Saban left behind.
Yeah.
Do people not realize that Saban left Kalen DeBoer a rack of ribs, 3 things of good
with the barbecue sauce?
I mean, Nick Saban left Kalen DeBoer a lot there, like a whole lot there. There's a whole lot of meat on this bone here that Nick Saban left for Kalen DeBoer, and Kalen is using it. And he's using it. So my takeaway is continue to sleep, national media. That's fine. I'm cool with that because you got Ohio State ahead of Alabama. But let's be honest, if Ryan Day doesn't beat Michigan, he gone. That's number 1. You got Georgia. Yes, I understand Kirby Smart, but this schedule will either make Carson Beck or have Carson Beck crying like a motherless child. That's 2. You look at Texas, Sharknado, if you don't pull this, because you already lost 2 of your running backs in fall camp to injury. If Sharknado don't pull this, you're going to have the Texas fans going, what the world going on here?
But aren't they still talking about Arch Manning potentially leaving? I mean, is it just rumors or?
I haven't heard that. I mean, it's still Quinn Ewers' team, Quinn and the mullet. But if Arch, gets out there and gets playing time, that's good for Arch. But I'll say this: Bama's at number 5. This is exactly where you want the national media to be with you at. Is you at 5? When Bama comes up and bites you, and you get bit by a tiger shark. You know you've been bit by a tiger shark because it's going to take your whole leg off. So I want Bama in this position to take everybody's whole leg, whole face off their body, and they are not even expecting it to happen.
That's right.
I want to get bit. I don't want to get bit either. Really quickly, Hannah or Dan, how do y'all feel
Sure.
about these raggedy rankings, man? Like, I feel that slight disrespect. I don't know if it's just me, but at the same time, I feel like it works for us. It always works out for us. But what do y'all think? And Hannah, really quickly, any thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, I think it was pretty much Nick Saban that said it doesn't matter where you're ranked until the end. I think for Alabama, it's just a number. I think that it's a good place to be. I always prefer to have to start at the bottom and work my way up. It's a lot easier to play with a chip on your shoulder than a target on your back. And I think for Alabama, it's a really good place to be because they're kind of, I mean, let's just be honest. The SEC is definitely out there this year. I mean, look who's number 6, Ole Miss, right? And I'm really bummed that they're ranked number 6, and this is the first time we're not going to be playing them like in a normal regular season game. So, for me, I like being number 5. Like I said, I think we play so much better, but I think this is a much better place to be than being Georgia at number 1, right? Because Georgia is not the same team that they have been, they didn't even make the playoff. And so I think when you look at that and you look at Texas, I think that's going to take care of itself. I think Alabama focuses on winning week after week. Doesn't matter where you're ranked at the end, and at the end of the season, Alabama is going to be the number 1 team in the country. So,
exactly, and it's just about being 1-0 every single weekend. Sure. Dan, really quickly, what are your thoughts on us being number 5?
I love it. I love it. You think about how many seasons last year Georgia started the season number 1, right? If I'm correct,
probably.
But, it's not often that preseason number 1 actually win the national championship. So I think we're in a good spot. So we become, the hunter. We are the hunter. We still the hunter now, and I love that position. To keep it short, but I hope Georgia remains number 1 coming into Tuscaloosa week 5.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one other question. So I had another question. We talk about Ole Miss, which he's not there anymore, but he's in Auburn, in beloved Auburn, raggedy Auburn. Hugh Freeze had some comments regarding Coach Saban. And with his big mouth, he literally is saying that he should have 4 wins over Coach Saban. Now, we know how slow they are. And Steven, I see you holding up your hand. Do you have a testimony, or do you need to leave for Uber Eats again? Or
I'm gonna say this about Hugh Freeze. And I'm gonna preface this by saying, Hugh, I hope you're listening to. Hugh, it does not matter if you could have, would have, should have had 4 wins. You didn't get them. You did not get them, Hugh. Move on. Because now you got to play in the Kalen DeBoer era, the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa. And while you're so salty about Nick Saban, you better hope this brother don't pimp slap you in the face, Hugh. You better hope DeBoer don't come and get you. Because if DeBoer come and bite you, Hugh, and you won, the Auburn fans are going to be like, man, forget rolling these trees. We got to roll Hugh out of here.
Whoa.
Fly out. So Hugh, as much as you're salted, I didn't get my 4 wins. Stop crying, Hugh. Stop crying.
You know what? That sounds like another t-shirt. Move on, Hugh. That's it. Move on, Hugh. I mean, he just needs to move on. He needs to stop crying. And actually, them Auburn fans, y'all need to save that tissue that y'all like to roll. Save it for Hugh. Pass it out to Hugh and team next time they roll up in that dusty stadium. Dan, what are your thoughts on Hugh Freeze's comments? I mean, do you feel like it's just him trolling Coach Saban, or do you feel like it's some bitterness there?
No, it's just Hugh just highlighting his failures. He's just highlighting his failures. That's all he was doing. But guess what, Hugh? When you come to Tuscaloosa, the guy on the other sideline is not going to be Nick Saban. You keep Nick Saban in your mind. You know what I'm saying? We're living rent free in your head. Because the guy across the sideline, he don't care about your record against Nick Saban. He's not going to care. He's going to come at you. So like my brother Steve and them said, hey, you just better hope he don't pimp slap you.
Exactly. Hannah, what do you think? Do you feel like it's just some bitterness?
He's an idiot. I mean, he is the perfect epitome of an Auburn coach. Just a big old fat ugly idiot. That's really what it is. I mean, it is. I mean, let's just be
Why
honest.
gotta be a big old fat?
Well, I don't know. I was just trying to think of all the negative adjectives.
I
But
like
listen,
it. I like it. I like it.
raggedy, big old raggedy,
Dusty,
dusty,
busted.
crop dusting,
Yeah.
corn eating idiot. I don't know. But listen, I just don't understand because Auburn already, like, it's so far down here that it's like he just makes it worse. You know, it's like I can't even give an example. It's like the dumbest person in class standing up and saying something dumb. Like, we already know you're dumb. Like, just stop talking. So it's like, for me, it's like, I don't know why Hugh Freeze would say this. Like, they need to give Alabama any more ammunition to destroy them in the Iron Bowl. Here you go. And so it's like, I just don't know. I mean, yeah, he was dumb at Ole Miss. He was dumb at Liberty, and he's dumb at Auburn. He's the perfect coach for them because that's the coaches they have are dumb. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, listen, they could lose the next 4 Iron Bowls, and they still would have to pay him because I don't know if there's enough strippers in Auburn to have enough money for his buyout. I don't know. I don't think there's enough massage parlors in Auburn for him to get his money.
Well, I'll say this. Hugh, you should have had 4 wins against Nick Saban. What you shouldn't have done was use the university phone to call an escort.
Wait, what? That's what he did?
Yes.
Oh, that's why I think about yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I had what?
Yeah. So,
Me and Patino got each other on
the 2 years at Ole Miss where he beat Alabama 2014 and 2015. Hugh had the girls to get them kids for him. Hugh had the girls to get Laquan Treadwell, to get.
No.
He was like, hey, listen, Linda.
Robert Kimdichie, to get Laramie Tunsil. Hugh had the girls to get them guys. The moment them guys set foot on Ole Miss campus, the NCAA was like, we got a problem.
That is ridiculous.
You know what?
Oh my gosh.
You know what shirt we should just make?
What?
It needs to do something. I don't know how to.
The escort service.
Listen,
put Auburn's athletic number on a t-shirt. Say it called escort service.
Hugh Freeze is college football's Hugh Hefner.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We're going back to Catholics versus convicts with that. Okay.
Yeah. We could do something with that really quickly before we go in. That was a good one. Before we go in on Hugh Freeze, I wanted to shout out because we actually talked about 2009, the 2009 Natty at Alabama. Of course, there's so many of them, but Mark Ingram when he won the Heisman, he visited Tuscaloosa recently, right? And he talked to the players and he talked to them about brotherhood. And we know Bama Sci-Fi, it's been that. Even when my uncle was there, they called it Bama Sci-Fi. Like, that's just what it's been, but it's the brotherhood. And he talked to them about that because one thing I think a lot of us saw last year, and even, and thank you, Stephen. Really quickly before you leave, any socials or anything that you want to shout out before you drop off?
Just definitely follow me at Coaching M Smith on X. Coaching M Smith, I'm right there. I'll be back Scrimmage 2 Saturday. I'll be out there, so we'll be getting those nuggets from Scrimmage 2. But y'all continue to have a great show and continue lighting up Hugh Freeze. Light him up.
We will. Thank you, Stephen. It's always love. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate y'all.
Now, and as I was mentioning, so Mark Ingram, he talked with the players to the team about brotherhood, and it just seems like that's maybe something that we were kind of lacking over the last couple of years. It just, at least what we saw in the field, and it looked like it wasn't as cohesive as we were used to be quite honest. And so you could tell that there was a breakdown happening behind the scenes. So in the locker room, whatever it was going on. Now, I want to get y'all's takes. Dan, I'm gonna start with you on this one. What do you think about Mark Ingram? I know sometimes we'll see, Tony Robbins, one of my favorite speakers, motivational guys, but he visited Tuscaloosa a year or two ago to talk to the team. But we know that, different people will come in, but how important is it? What does it mean to have a former player, especially someone like Mark Ingram and all that he achieved at Alabama, even in the NFL, to come back and talk to the team?
So you hit the nail on the head right there. There is no bigger gump in Mark Ingram. You know, and the guy that's been there, he was a part of what started it. You know, what started the dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so to have this guy come back, you know, he was the second speaker behind Hunter Pink. You know, and that's a guy I want y'all to Google because his message to the team was powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you have a chance, go back and look at research Hunter Pink's former North Dakota State tight end. You know, look at his story and see his message to the team. I advise everybody to go back and watch that. But yeah, Mark Ingram, you know, he is Mr. Alabama. You know, when you want a representative of the university, you got to go and get Mark Ingram. He's the number one guy that comes to mind.
Yeah,
he's a great motivator. You know, he's you know, and he's a running back, first Heisman Trophy winner. You know, there is no one else, you know, that I think could you know come in at the time that we need. You know, Mark Ingram is the guy. He's the guy that I'm at a loss for words, but I'm
yeah. No. I mean, I feel you on that. It's with what he achieved and and the adversity coming to Alabama, you know, as a freshman. I mean, it's just he has one of those stories that you know, will really silence a room. Now, Hannah, what are your thoughts on Mark speaking with the team about brotherhood?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Dan said. I think he's so relatable. I think he's a guy that players know. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing because I was just doing the math a second ago, and I was like, you know, if you look at these players, you know, and you look at how young these guys were because you look at it now, right? So let's just say, I mean, that was 15 years ago. So some of these guys were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old when Alabama won the national championship with Mark Ingram. So Mark Ingram has been a household name for a lot of these guys. And for me, I think that Mark Ingram, like Dan said, was the perfect guy because he was the first Heisman Trophy winner. Look at what he did under Nick Saban. He was dynamic in the NFL. And for me, I think he is at that. Okay. Cause you know, let's just say this, we're at that age, right? In our 30s, you know, where I'm still cool to the younger kids. Like I'm still relatable and cool, but I'm old enough to have wisdom. It's not like I'm an 80-year-old person trying to speak wisdom into a child. Like I'm kind of I look cool to them. Right. And so Mark Ingram has got that balance of experience and knowledge and like, you know, wealth of knowledge while also being so relatable to these players. I think he's the perfect guy to come into Tuscaloosa and speaking to these guys. And I love what he said. I think it was so important. I think it was needed. And honestly, if there was one thing I could have changed, it would have been him actually saying this last year, because I think the team last year needed it. But I believe in the sovereignty of God, and I believe that this was the right time, the right place, and the right person. And, you know, I am excited to see what happens. But, you know, I think having – and I want to say this too about DeBoer. I didn't get to say this earlier. He's so – like, I don't think people give him enough credit for how smart he is. Like, he – thinks through everything, all the coaches he's brought in, the type of players bringing in Austin Mack. Look at what Stephen Smith said about Austin Mack, right? People are like, why did he come in? Everything is logical. Everything is thought through. Everything is like a science in his brain. He's like Nick Saban in that. You may not understand or agree with the decisions he's made. If you don't, that's your fault. But there's always a reason behind the reaction. And I think for me, everything that Kalen DeBoer has done is for a reason. And I think bringing Mark Ingram in is just another thing that he's done that we're going to see. Wow, like didn't realize I had that much of an impact. So I'm all for it. Think he was a great guy. Like I said, I wish it was last year, but I'll tell you what, I truly say this when I say, and regardless of what happens this season, just as of right now, this is the most excited I have been to see a team fielded in Bryant-Denny Stadium since 2008, even 2007. But
it has.
I am excited.
Like, There's a lot of similarities to just that, and almost like even when it comes to recruiting and that intensity, it's just hard to exactly put it into words. But like you said, Coach DeBoer is very strategic. You know, he's very we talk about the game of chess, right? You have those who can play chess and those who, they can only play checkers. And I think that Coach DeBoer is one of those guys who, he can play chess really well, to say the least. But really quickly, I wanted to pivot to another topic. As we're talking about Mark Ingram and we're talking about the NFL, of course, there were some preseason games recently in NFL, and some of our players who were drafted this year in particular, just a few months ago, they stood out. And the first one that I wanted to mention is our former wide receiver, Jermaine Burton, who's now playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. This guy, he got over 80 yards, 80 receiving yards, and he also had a touchdown. I mean, he literally, he's just doing what he did at Alabama, right? I mean, you don't really expect anything less. I mean, our former offensive lineman, J.C. Latham, who's now with the Tennessee Titans, he actually started in their game against the 49ers. And then we have our beloved Will Riker, our former kicker, who's now with the Minnesota Vikings. He actually kicked the game-winning field goal against the Raiders. Yes, it was awesome. And I mean, but how many times did he do that for us? And I'm gonna read off a few more names.
Yeah.
And I want y'all's takes on them. So we think about our punter, J.K. Scott, he did really well. I think he had 8 punts, averaged about 40 to 45 yards per punt. Former linebacker Chris Braswell, who's now with the Tampa Bay Bucks, I think he had just 1 tackle, but even then, they had him playing on, I believe, special teams actually. But, he got out there. Former defensive lineman Justin Eboigbe, he's with, I believe, the Chargers now, and he did well. And actually, he had a tackle. They played, I believe, the Seattle Seahawks, and so shout out to him. But I want to shout out JaQuincy. Now, I like him by his real name, but Kool-Aid, JaQuincy Kool-Aid, and who's now with New Orleans Saints. And this guy had 3 tackles, broke up 1 pass. He's just doing what. That's my thing. It's these guys are doing what they did at Alabama and more, and we can pretty much expect to continue to see that. But there's one guy who was drafted last year, former safety DeMarco Helms, who of course we're talking about this round of draftees, but I wanted to mention him because he actually got injured, unfortunately. He left their preseason game against the Dolphins with an ankle injury. So hopefully, I just mentioned him so that we can send up some prayers for him. Hope and pray that he's okay, that he'll be able to play. And then also, Dallas Turner had his first.
And he said post game he was more excited about Will Riker's kick than his first sack. So
I mean, that speaks volumes, right? And I feel like it hits different when you have someone on your team who got drafted the same year as you, and y'all are both on the same team. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm sure it hits different. Shout out to Ephraim. Thank you for the super chat. Cold Stone for everyone. Thank you. I love Cold Stone. They're awesome. But thank you for the super chat. I want to get y'all's takes on just the NFL preseason, our rookies, how we're doing, and if there's anyone else that maybe we need to highlight, or anyone else that you feel like maybe, who do you think is going to have the best and the biggest season this upcoming season? And Dan, I'll start with you on this one, then I'm going to kick it off to Hannah.
Oh yeah, man, I'm ready, excited to see what Terrion Arnold's going to do in Detroit. They love him. They love him in that city. He had a slight injury, him and as well as Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, a hamstring injury. He's expected to be back as well. And Terrion Arnold left practice early yesterday, and with appeared to be a pectoral injury. But both players are expected to be ready comes the start of the season. So shout out to those guys, and I like to see them stay safe. Injury free. That's what you want to get out of preseason. You hate to have all those preseason injuries. And so the main goal of preseason is to get better and come out injury free.
Yeah, I agree. And Hannah, any thoughts on guys?
Out of all the guys, I think Will Riker, and I say this because I don't know how many people understand that Will Riker is the only kicker for the Vikings. The Vikings let John Parker Romo go a couple of weeks ago. Will Riker won the starting job, and they're relying fully on Will Riker. So I think out of all the players right now, he kind of got put into the best situation because he's the most they're relying on him more than really all the other team at these positions. Now, sure, we're going to have some guys, even like Turner, who are going to get some good reps, and even Arnold, and Burton. But for me, I think, and the fact of the matter is, in his first game, they already had a nickname for him, Walk-Off Will, right? That says a lot about what this kid can do. He did it for Alabama. And I don't know if y'all saw the video. It was either a 50 or 60 yarder he nailed in practice. And they said he had about 15 yards like into the end, like, through the he had
60+ yarder. Yeah.
What?
It was a 60+ yarder.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I'm excited for him. And I'll tell you why, is because he really, and, you can look at different players in their positions in the years they helped kind of bring in new players. Even Blake Barnett would be an example of kind of starting the evolution of having a different type of quarterback. But for me, Will Reichard kind of brought life back into the kicking position on special teams for Alabama, really since Tiffin. We had Cody Mendel, we had Kate Foster, but it's like, for me, Will Reichard, if it wouldn't have been for him, we wouldn't have the kickers we have now. And that's just point blank. He really put life back into that position. So I'm excited for him. Well executed in Alabama. And I'll just say this one more time, and I'll never say it again. Actually, I probably will. But it was like something I'm going to miss is when we actually go for a field goal and I don't have to hyperventilate. Like I just said, we're going to nail it. Like, I don't have to now he may honestly here or there, but you know what? Even if he missed him, like, he'll get it next time. Like, I wasn't even anxious.
But you know what though, Hannah and Dan, I honestly don't believe, I believe the reasons why we kept getting in those situations where we had to rely on Will Reichard so many times last year and even the year before, I don't believe we're going to have those problems. A lot of the issues that we saw, I believe a lot of it had to do with us basically shooting ourselves in our foot, with all those freaking penalties. I mean, I think there
were some games we had 2+ penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so bad.
Look, let me hold on. Keep talking because I'm going to.
While you're looking that up, no, I was just I was going to ask because I definitely see, Auburn, they love to run their mouths, but I was curious, do they play New Mexico State this year? Their football team?
Yes,
they do. Okay, maybe they'll lose to them again then. Yeah, y'all be so worried about Alabama, like, and y'all just all y'all do is lose. I
wonder if they go on any New Mexico State shows and troll.
But honestly, they're delusional enough to do that. Like Maryland, like y'all are just horrible. Why are y'all so like? Y'all should be embarrassed at this point. I know it's all fun and games to you, but I have too much pride, healthy pride, to where I don't even care to know what these other teams are doing. It has nothing to do with me because you ain't doing that over here. So I just don't understand what y'all like. It's something like this, like sadistic, like I don't know how, I can't put my finger on what it is.
Are y'all ready for this?
What?
Okay. Average penalties per game, 47. But just wait. We had a total last season of 78 penalties for a total of 655 yards.
That is the
total penalties. And the worst part about it is almost all of those were false starts.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Daggum.
But to hear Coach DeBoer say what he said recently regarding, the lack thereof as far as penalties, that's really good news. And I think that's enough for us to, be hopeful. Dan, I don't know. It's just like you got something on your chest that you want to say. Is it something you got to say to these Auburn fans or these other raggedy people?
Yeah, I mean, y'all should be tired of trolling Bama. Go troll Georgia. Georgia been kicking your butt too. You know what I'm saying? Georgia been owning you. Go on Georgia board and troll. They've been owning y'all the last 6-7 years. You know what I'm saying? So why is it that y'all are tuned in to all things Bama? I just can't understand.
Well, they don't have nothing to watch regarding Auburn. I mean, what they gonna watch? Just the history of failure? I mean, like
the only thing they watch is what is that kick six replay over and over and over.
Look at that sorry picture. Like that doesn't disgust y'all. It's just like a blueberry that's just like dried out, almost like a dried out raisin. Like it just look like it just looks so horrible. Like I feel like they should literally have that little dusty picture, like a hunted hayride when you're going through like the little dark tunnels and stuff. That's one of the images that they should have like on the little walls in the tunnels, because it's just horrible. Like, how do you suit up on game day looking like that and you feel confident? Like how? I mean, you're gonna lose.
Hey,
I'm
how do you?
going to watch the video of the corner doing 4th and 31 while they ready to roll the trees. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm going to do when we get off tonight.
How do you get an Auburn fan or an Auburn player off your porch? You pay him for the pizza.
Oh wow.
That is hilarious. No, they're just they honestly, like, I could never imagine, like, even if it's a team that we lost to, I don't have the desire to go and sit on somebody else's channel and troll. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least if you're gonna come to the channel, learn something, you know. But anywho,
what's the difference between an Auburn fan and a puppy dog?
there ain't no difference. They're both sad.
No, puppies eventually stop whining.
Okay.
I was going to say puppies can be house trained.
You know, the Auburn fans can't. Let's see, make sure we're not missing anything. Okay, yeah.
I got one more. Why do my dad's doing this a long time ago? Why do Auburn fans hang their tassels from the rearview mirrors so they can park in the handicap spaces?
Oh gosh. I was gonna say because they don't have a cap to hang it on because they ain't graduating. Okay, let's see. Any other? I don't see as many trolls. That's awesome. I guess some of them learned their lesson, or maybe they're watching and they're not in the comments. Because look, we got a strong support base, and they don't play with y'all. Like, they let y'all know, Alabama. Look, we're the standard at the end of the day, and y'all know that.
That's it.
Y'all know that. Okay, I see Florida State in here. Okay, but I see Ed. Ed, I see you don't talk about Florida State anymore. Why is that? Why is that? Look, Dan, you remember, I think it was on an episode where Hannah couldn't make it, and it was maybe like a month or two ago when Ed first started joining, and he waited literally to the tail end of the show to try to throw a little slick comment in there. Oh, she too bougie. And I'm like, first of all, sir, Florida State, y'all have nothing to talk about. Like, there is literally nothing on earth, on the heavens above or hell below, that y'all have to talk about. Like, y'all are completely horrible. Like, what?
Yeah.
Y'all gotta get players from Alabama to even have something to talk about. Like,
I got one more.
What?
You know how you give someone directions to Auburn?
What?
You tell them to head east, they can smell it, and then go south till they step in it.
Hannah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I'm noticing
listen, that's just a cow patty.
That's disgusting. I think some of the fans.
It is. Auburn is disgusting.
No, they are.
Dusty.
They know they are. Yeah, just dust, a trail of dust. Yeah, just a trail of dust. Yeah, Florida State. Ed, don't talk about Florida State anymore because there's really nothing to talk about. And I noticed that the only time that I actually saw them in the news was when some of our players transferred there, or when they were losing recruits. So you don't really see them in the news about it, or the $500 million that they still owe the ACC. So, I mean, nothing to talk about. Huh?
I'm gonna say this. I'll shut up. Y'all know what DVR is? How you record stuff?
Uh-huh.
I was trying to get inspired to lose some weight, so I'm trying to record a bunch of The Biggest Losers, and it kept recording Auburn football games. Funny how that works.
Yeah. They're the first one to pop up, right? It's in your recommended list. Like, they're like, hey, they use the AI. They're like, based on your history, based on your searches, we recommend Auburn. If you want to know about failure, we recommend Auburn and raggedy Florida State. How you gonna say Florida State is going undefeated? Like, do y'all know who they're playing this season? I know they got Florida. That's gonna be an L. Who else are they playing? Because it looked like L's to me.
They open up their season with Georgia Tech, and then they play. Okay, well, in all honesty, they probably are going to go undefeated because they've got an easier schedule than Ohio State. But they have Georgia Tech, then Boston College, and Memphis, then Cal, then SMU. Then they finally in October play their first ranked game of the season against Clemson. Okay, then they have Duke. And then they have Miami, and then they have North Carolina. And then in November, they're like, they got Notre Dame, and then they have Charleston Southern, and then they have Florida. So, maybe 3 ranked games all season. So, you know what?
That's pathetic. That is really pathetic.
That is brought to you by Crumble Cookies. Well, actually, no, they don't even sell cupcakes. I was trying to think of a cupcake. Gigi's Cupcakes.
Oh my gosh.
I remember those.
Where are they
Was
based?
it Gigi's Cupcakes? I mean, yeah, it was Gigi's Cupcakes, but it was like the cupcakes that were like
They had a mountain of icing.
yeah, each bite gave you diabetes.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. I got diabetes.
Be quiet, Chris. Look, Chris, you can be quiet. Look,
actually.
I'm done. Like, I'm not even gonna entertain.
Oh, I ain't giving him my time of day.
He's definitely trolling.
Chris Williams is that person. And you know what? He was that kid in class who was never invited to any party. He was never given a Valentine's. He was never given a Christmas present. I mean, the only thing he was ever given was either a knuckle sandwich or a wedgie. And, you know, the reality is he's that person that shows up not wanted and then belly aches the entire time. And I mean, literally, I've said this before, I'll say it again. He's the type of person that shows up, starts a fight, gets punched, and calls 911. I'm like, you know what, Chris, go home. Ain't no one wants you here. Like,
anybody asked you to come in the first place. Like,
go away. Like, go.
But see, that's the thing, because he could be on an Auburn YouTube network right now. But
start your own. I mean, you probably get -5 views, but go ahead and start. No one wants to watch.
Oh, he don't want to come on camera though.
I mean, you know what? I already invited him.
But, you know, we have to wrap it up because it's his bedtime.
No, seriously, his senior citizen, the nursing home Wi-Fi goes out at 8. So, you know. I mean,
you know,
literally.
Hey, you know, it's about that time. I think they got like 12 more minutes, and all the Auburn fans, they go outside holding hands without their shoes on, kumbaya up there.
They go the cows. They go cow tipping.
I know, just raggedy. Yeah, Florida State. Just like y'all just need to just hush. Well, we will not be having Teeks Take tonight, maybe next week, but we will be having Saturday nights talking Bama this weekend, this Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time with Josh Tucker and JB. So be sure to support them. And last but not least,
you're just so dumb. Title. Oh my goodness!
Like, dude, is
it a title tower or it's title tower? You know what? We do have a title tower in Alabama, and it's called Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Like,
you've got a toilet bowl in yours.
Stuff before you type. Like, I don't get it. Like, why don't they have any shame?
Title tower. Oh my goodness, the dumb nuttery. I mean, literally.
It's just sad. Like, it's just
hilarious.
Like, it's so dusty. Like, can you just imagine those dirty buses when they try to wheel their little failures into somebody's city when they're playing away, and they wheel their little dirty buses in somebody's city, and just that dust that come in the back, like the little it's just like L's everywhere. It's disgusting.
Hey, you know the difference between a 10-year-old Alabama fan and a 100-year-old Auburn fan?
The amount of L's.
Well, the 10-year-olds see way more national championships.
I mean, yeah. Like, y'all are just disgusting. Like, I mean that, but see, that's why they're so bitter, because all they do is lose. Like, when you have a tradition of winning like Alabama, we can come on here, we can smile, we can have something to talk about. But for them, they have to go to other people's channels because they have nothing to talk about. So I know it sucks being you. I'm sure it hurts every night knowing that when the season starts, y'all are taking easily at least 5 L's easily, you know, and y'all were so thankful that the playoffs expanded to 12 so that you might be able to creep in. Like, y'all are still not worthy to be in no playoffs. Like, y'all are raggedy. Playoffs are not for raggedy teams. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm so tired of them. Like, they're so loud and just like all they do is lose. Like, why are you loud?
They're just dumb. I mean,
yeah, just ignorance, delusional. Like, the loudest ones in the room be the weakest ones. Like, you know, they're going to catch a L or they're going to catch a fade. Either one, they're going to lose. They're going to get mollywopped up and down Tuscaloosa Bryant-Denny Stadium. Like, y'all better have some respect on our field when y'all come to Saban Field, because by the time and like I said, we need to make sure, we need to appeal the Iron Bowl, because to be honest, I'm tired of playing them. Like, we literally waste our time. Every time I look at our schedule, I get disgusted and I feel sick, because they are always there at the bottom, and they always and that's where they belong, at the bottom. At the bottom of the rankings.
I don't know why they're excited. They're on a 3-game losing streak, right? Am I correct?
At least.
Mexico State, they lost to Bama, and they lost to Maryland.
Yeah.
Why don't Auburn fans go play hide and go seek? Because they don't want to seek them.
Oh my gosh.
They always win.
Exactly. Well, do y'all have any social media that you want to share? Any other shows? Hannah, I'll start with you on this one.
Do what?
What?
I was thinking of another joke.
Oh my God, what just happened?
No, I was just thinking of a joke. Go ahead, Dan. I'm trying to come up with one more.
Okay. You can catch me on this very channel every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, the final whistle. Every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central, the Crimson Dynasty. You catch me on X at the final whistle Dan. You catch me on Facebook, Dan Jaeden IV. Don't hit me up on Facebook. That's for friend. You catch me on Instagram, Dan Jaeden IV. And you can catch me on MySpace. Now, is that still a thing?
Well, I think the only one he still uses is Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, that's where he get his work. Well, I'll be quiet.
Hey, what did the average Auburn player get on his SATs?
An F? Huh?
Zero. They couldn't spell the name.
All right. What are the best 4 years of an Auburn student's life? The third grade.
What did she say?
Third grade.
Third grade.
Why?
Because they do it twice. They repeat it.
No, but honestly, Chris act like he repeated a grade or two at least.
I think the problem is Chris didn't actually go to school. I think he's like uneducated. I think literally he would fail kindergarten.
What is their tiger called? Because he should sign up to be the mascot. Yeah. Because I'm sure he didn't graduate. Like he's going so hard for Auburn. I'm sure he didn't graduate from there. So he sounds like you actually should be a cheerleader.
Hey, you know why the Auburn football team's like a possum? Because they play dead at home and get killed on the road.
Oh my God, that was a good one. That was a good one.
All right.
Well, yeah. Huh?
She was waiting for this.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
I have them saved. I think of them all the time. Someone send them to me. I got a whole list of them.
Yeah.
We should start doing that. When we do Raggedy Rants, I should start adding a few jokes every week.
Yeah, right. Well, go ahead and pop your socials, and then we'll wrap up so we don't give too much more time.
All right. Well, I'm on X, Twitter, whatever, Facebook at the UA Sun Girl. What's 100 yards long and has 200 teeth?
What?
Front row at Jordan Hare.
That was a good one.
All right. Anyway, that's all I got to say tonight. I love this show. I love y'all. And
yeah. You can find me on Instagram at beauty_up_intelligence. It's still really long. I might keep it that way just for Hannah. But we really appreciate the support. Be sure to come back same time, same place next week, and also support Saturday Night's Talking Bama this weekend, 8:30 Central Standard Time. And roll Tide, roll.
Roll Tide.